There's a lot of possibilities, a lot of good things that can happen in 2014. So, let's get this show on the road tonight. This is our new venue. This is where we're going to be meeting. And so we are working on getting refreshments and soft drinks, that sort of thing here. So I can remember when we used to have that before we moved to the other place and came back here. We always had refreshments there, and it was always nice to have something cold to sip on, a cookie or something, pastry or something to eat, and talk with somebody. So anyway, a lot of good things happening. We've got some big plans in 2014 for KCIG. We're glad that you want to be a part of it. How many of you are looking forward to 2014 and what the possibility real estate holds for you? Yeah, every hand better be up. I tell you what, there has never been a better time to be in real estate. And I know you probably hear us say that quite often, and it's because it's true. There is never a better time to be in real estate than the present. No matter what the economy is doing, no matter what the market is doing, there's always a way to make money in real estate. Now, just very quickly, I want to take just about 1 minute to do this. Who can tell me, who can name the different exit strategies in real estate? Pardon me?
One in every crowd.
Let me clarify. As an investor, when you buy a property, you need to have more than one exit strategy in mind for that property, because if you only have one and it doesn't work, what are you going to do with it? You're going to buy it and sit on it, aren't you? Yeah. Okay, so what's the different exit strategies? Anybody?
Sell.
Buy and sell. Okay. Flip it. Okay. Lease option.
Rent.
Renting. That's buy and hold. Donate.
The tax deduction may be worth more.
There you go. You know, it's funny you should say that, because my company does have a goal in mind. I want to rehab a house, but I want to find somebody that really needs it and fits some very lengthy qualifications, but I want to donate that house. At least one. So, okay? All right. Do you know that there's more than one way to finance a property? There's 21 different ways that you can finance a property. We don't have time to go into that tonight, but there are. Get my English right. There are more than one way. There's more than one way to finance a property. So if you're sitting there thinking, man, I don't have the money. I don't know how to get into real estate. That's wrong thinking. There are a myriad of ways to get done what you want to do in real estate. Okay? All right, so 2014. Yes, bring it on. Now, if you would like to help out on the board, be on a subcommittee, we are looking for volunteers. Cindy is going to say more about that here in just a moment. But we are looking for volunteers for different areas, different strategies, different things that we've got going on. I would encourage you to visit our website on a regular basis, because Polly, where are you? Yeah, back there. She does a fantastic job of keeping that updated, all the latest updates, articles, things that are happening in KCIG. She does a great job posting those, keeping those on there, and it helps keep you in the know. And so visit our website, kcig.org. One last thing here before I introduce your board members for 2014, and that is our doors open at 7. You'll see us in here setting up before then and getting ready for everybody. But if you would do us a fantastic favor, it would be a great help to us. Please don't come in until 7 o'clock, and we'll probably have that little sliding thing there, rope thing or whatever up, and so don't, like I do a lot of times, slide under it, you know, that type of thing. But that would help us out a lot. And then when you do come in, make sure, even though you're a member or whoever you are, if you'll go by the check-in desk, that would help us ensure that we've got everybody registered and checked in correctly. They want to meet and greet everybody. Okay, they won't even let me go by. Oh, they're busy, so okay. All right.
What about next?
Nothing. Okay, let me introduce your 2014 board members. Brains are folded up here. There we go. And by the way, these guys all do this for free. They give of their time, their talent, their information, all the stuff that they've learned. They give of their time freely to sit on the board, to help organize and plan and develop and come up with the things that the value that we want to provide for our membership, to give you guys the tools that you need. So, I'm going to read the names and then you guys just come on up. Dave Painter, President. Cindy Seeley, Vice President. Chris Siriotis. Bill Conroy. Carl Watka. Michelle Herman. Polly Jones. Keith is not here, is he? Keith Magnuson. Okay. And then Dennis Botter. Before we go any further, I want you guys just go ahead and give these guys a round of applause, because I'll tell you what, that is a fantastic group of people right there, and it's my privilege to sit on the board with them and share their experience and gain from their knowledge. I'm the one who benefits. So, you guys should envy my position, because, just associating with these guys, if nothing else, will make you more successful. So, we're going to start, ladies first, we'll start right down here, and what I would like you to do is just tell who you are, what you do on the board, and a little bit about your business.
Wow, you did it like I'm going to go over. No, my name's Polly Jones. I'm on the board. I do the website. I do the emails. I'm the person you call if you can't log in. I'm that. I'm tech support for KCIG, essentially. I'm very proud to be on this board, and I really like working with all these people. And real world, I don't do anything with real estate except websites and marketing and stuff for real estate investors, because I build websites and do marketing for a living. And I'm happy to work with a lot of the KCIG investors.
I'm Michelle Herman. I am a commercial realtor, and I work in retail, office, multifamily, but I also have investment property. I buy investment property, I flip investment property, so kind of the whole thing. I'm very glad to be on the board. It's a great group of people.
What do you do on the board?
I am assistant secretary.
Yeah.
I'm Chris Siriotis. I'm the secretary, ironically. Michelle does all the work. I just have the title.
You just look
Yeah.
yeah.
Anyway, I'm also the mailman, too. Other than that, that's about it.
What do you do in real estate?
I'm just a landlord.
You buy and hold.
I just pretty much buy and hold. Yeah, I mean, we've rehabbed, we've flipped a few, we've done this, we've done that, but for the last 32 years, I've just pretty much bought and held. I can't find a better way to get money than, buying them and holding them. I don't know what I'm going to do when it comes to quitting time, but I'm almost to that point now, and it's really starting to worry me, because I don't know what to do. It's like Jake Tonsfeld said. Anybody that's been around here 25, 30 years knows Jake Tonsfeld. He just sold out to a hedge fund. I said, what do you do about taxes? He goes, you just bite the bullet. Well, I'm not ready to bite that bullet yet, so I'm still buying.
My name's Cindy Seeley. I am a mortgage broker, and I've been a true mortgage broker for 19 years now, so I'm really crazy. About 12 years ago, I got in with investors. I very seldom do I deal with investors now. I do residential lending, I've got some commercial lending, but I've got a strong background, and in real estate, I myself was an investor. We just had 7 properties. So that's about my professional background. I'm vice president, Dave's president. And what I would like from you guys tonight, I booked the speakers and the topics, and I want to make sure we give you the value you want from the club. So we've got surveys we're going to hand out tonight. I would really like your feedback on the topics that are important to you for your current goals and also your future goals, okay? For something to look at down the line. So whatever you have, we're going to hand these out when we get done up here. Please fill them out and give them to one of us before you leave. And any feedback you have on topics. Right now I have, we've got Titan book tonight. Next month, we have Omega Title. They're title professionals. And the guys, they've got a new product for investors that I'm very excited about.
It's really neat.
And I'll let them talk about it. But it's a great, great product that you all would have to do hours and hours and hours worth of research for. And they were giving it to me because I provide them with a lot of work. And I told them, I said, you all need to sell this. I said, investors would buy this up in a heartbeat. So they're also going to open up that new product. I've also booked structural engineer, Bob Quick. He's going to come in March. I also booked Bob Long, which he's with the EDC, and what that is, the economic development for the tax incentives. And if you all understood how to work the system, not only on residential, but especially on commercial for tax abatements and incentives, it is unbelievable. Because you can get 25 years tax abatements on real estate. That's a lot of money. So he's going to come and talk, but other topics of interest to you all, like I said, where you currently are and where you want to go in the future with your business plan and real estate. Let me know. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Carl Wachter. I live in Olin Park. I'm an engineer for CenturyLink, work down in Gardner, and an entrepreneur. So here I am with the KCIG. I'm with, membership. So what I'm asking you is I need you guys' help in finding people that are interested in real estate investing and inviting them to come here and see if KCIG is for them. Also, if you're on how many people are on Facebook? Awesome. Are you friends with the KCIG page? If you're not, go ahead and find the KCIG page and be friends. We've got a KCIG YouTube site as well. When you see stuff come up across the KCIG Facebook page, like it, share it, make some comments. We want to generate
KCIG right from the website too, and then it'll just show up in your Facebook page magically.
Yeah, so do that as well, because we need your help in growing this group. The more people we have here, the more value there is in you being a member, because more deals, you can collaborate with more people. So it's a rising tide lifts all boats. So let's get some more people involved.
My name is Bill Conroy. I've been with the group since the late 80s. I've held every office in this group. I'm currently the club treasurer. I've done a lot of different things in real estate. Currently, I buy and rehab, resell, and finance mobile homes.
Like Bill, I've been around a long time too. I'm Dennis Slaughter, and I've served in many different leadership capacities within the group. Currently, it's mainly like with the library. And by the way, I invite you to come by the table back there. And normally that's our marketing table where members can put down flyers, things of their real estate related businesses, business cards, that sort of thing. But right now we're doing some house cleaning at our office. And I've got, since it's easy to carry, I brought in the fax machine, got a fax machine hardly ever used, $20. I've got a bunch of other things posted on Craigslist, everything from a computer system to office chairs and I've got about 10 different items listed, so let me know if you want to just send an email to contact@kcig.org, and I'll get the information or contact you about that. There's some printed materials and some cassette tape type material. There's one of Robert Kiyosaki's classics, but they're in cassette, so if anyone still has cassette players, you can help yourself to the few books. Some of them are obviously dated. We're going to be doing some more cleaning out of the library here too very shortly, so maybe by next month we'll have a whole table full of stuff that, that's more than 10 or 15 years old or whatever, that's a bit dated. So that's on our list of things to do, so be watching for that.
Thank you guys very much.
Yeah, seriously. Okay, we forgot to mention the first Saturday of every month, KCIG also holds a networking coffee at Panera Bread in Westport. This is open to anybody, members, non-members, people who want to get into real estate but haven't yet, people just starting out into real estate. It's free. We usually get about 20 people there. And it's just a great opportunity to come network and meet other people and other people that are interested in real estate, and you have an opportunity to help them decide whether or not it's for them and to come to a meeting and all of that. And bring deals if you have deals, because some of these new investors are looking for people to trust to buy stuff from. And we're a good group for that because we're great people. So we do that the first Saturday of every month, and everybody's welcome. It's on the website. It's on meetup.com. If you're not on Meetup, go to Meetup because all our stuff is posted there too. Also, if you have not listed your business in the business directory, go on the website and do it, or pick up one of these green sheets from the back tables, fill it out and give it to me. Thank you.
Well, they can also, don't forget their individual profiles. Once you're a member, you can set up an individual profile. So log in and set that up because most people don't do that.
Yeah.
And then once again, get on one of our volunteers. I really, as vice president, I want to grow our vendor tables. I want to have refreshment sponsors. So I need helpers, okay? I can't do it all on my own. So let us know if you want to contribute.
It is important.
Yeah.
It is.
And you get a shout out in the email when you do something awesome.
I did have that in my notes. But
Okay.
I'm just the president. I don't really know what's going on. I'm just teasing. You guys, thank you very much. All right. Yeah. 2014 board. We're going to take just a couple of minutes, and I want to give our vendors just a couple of minutes each to talk about what they have and what they're doing. So, Dave, why don't you come on up? As soon as he's done, we'll have Community Buying Group come up. And
my local guys, feet on the street here, are Scott Simmons and Dan Goodwin back here. We're a hard money lender. We have a little niche in the market compared to some of the other lenders. We have no down payment requirements. We go out to 12 months on our loans with no extension fees, things like that, as well as a pretty lucrative volume pricing model. So the more deals you do with us, the cheaper it gets. Therefore, you make more money, but our money is less at risk once we have a relationship with you. So while I'm in town, just a little pitch, and I forgot to mention this to you. We have a speaking I have a speaking engagement tomorrow. We're hosting over by Overland Park on the financial modeling for rehab. Scott, how are we on that?
Actually, due to Jim, Casper, and Beth Veneer's marketing, Turning Point Home Solutions is sponsoring the event, and it is full.
Oh, okay. So we're full. Sorry. I give it to you and I take it away. No, but typically when I'm in town, though, we do a lot of speaking engagements, mainly training events that we've done over the years, trying to help. And again, our concept is we do this for free to you, because the more knowledge you have in this industry, the better you're going to perform. And again, if you're using my money, the better you perform, the safer my money is. So if you are not on our list, I know there's like 3 or 4 of you here that I know are going to be there tomorrow, but if you're not on our list, I'll leave some business cards on the table back here. We're going to take off. I have an early morning meeting, but if you want to email Scott your contact information, we'll put you on the distribution list, so the next time I'm in town, which will probably be next month, you'll be notified of those. So try to sign up for them, though, when you get the notification. We typically sell out within a couple of days, and we normally have 50 to 150 people there. So try to get on that and come out and see us there. So if you have any questions, stop by and let us know. Thanks.
Unity.
Hi, good evening. My name is Janet Moore, and I'm the Director of Marketing and Business Development for Community Buying Group. We are a membership benefits package for real estate investors, property managers, landlords, real estate investment, I said that one, rehabbers and flippers. So we have discounts with all kinds. We have 22 suppliers. Titan, who's speaking tonight, is one of them. We have relationships with Lowe's, Sherwin-Williams, Office Max, Home Depot. Go ahead and say that. Nanny, don't tell Ben I said that. So if you didn't get a brochure, those of you who got a brochure know already the answer to this question. How many of you are members of a community buying group? Exactly. All of you are members of Community Buying Group because of your relationship with KCIG. Make sure that you get one of these brochures because we just did our website and you'll go on and you'll see we have about 22 suppliers that you have access to these discounts. You don't buy anything from us. You don't pay anything to us. You'll buy from Lowe's and Office Max and Sherwin-Williams and Build a Sign and Junk King and I'm trying to think of others. Sunbelt Tool Rentals for Imprint. Screening. Some of you have real estate properties that are vacant maybe. We have 2 new alarm system suppliers we brought on in the last 30 to 40 days. So if you have a vacant property, you can get a discounted alarm system that you can just go in, install the property. When you rent it, take it out, put it in a different property. Does anybody have any questions? Make sure that you get your free membership. So all you have to do is go on and redeem your group ID. And we're going to leave, but we'll leave some of these with you. So just go ahead, check us out. You're not going to buy anything from us. You just register for free. And when you go to the private site, once you register, you'll see all the links and codes and everything you need to get the discounts on our products. Thank you.
Longhorn Investments. Come on down. Then after this, we're going to turn it over to Titan.
Excuse me. My name is Mike Friedel. I represent Longhorn 3 Investments here in Kansas City. We're a hard money lender. We operate out of Dallas, and we're opening up offices going to be nationwide. We offer competitive rates for 14% interest only, 4 points, 500 fees to close. We put everything up front. We lend primarily in Missouri right now. We will lend on the Kansas side on a case-by-case basis. We have good relationships with quite a few investors in Kansas City already. We can close within a week and get people qualified in under 24 hours. Additionally, we do offer transactional funding. That's also for the moment on a case-by-case basis. If you have any questions on that, please let me know. You can apply online. We recommend everyone do that because it doesn't obligate you to anything and it allows us to give you a proof of funds letter so you can make offers. That's at longhorninvestments.com. You can apply there. Additionally, we, while not strictly affiliated with Longhorn, we are offering we are offering mobile website services for people who have properties they want to market or sell for both rentals and for flips. We have information in the back on that. And if you have any other questions, please feel free to let me know. I'll be in the back.
All right. Just before I turn it over to Kyle, are you ready, Kyle?
Almost.
Almost, okay.
Difficulties.
Sure. Technology is great, except when it doesn't work. Drives me nuts sometimes. But you may have noticed on the screen that the KCIG membership was $50 annual for an annual fee, but that was outdated. Polly, when was it? Last October? October. It went up to...
Email addresses on there that are outdated, so we'll be updating that.
Yeah, we'll be updating that. The year membership now at KCIG is $75. And you can... We don't have any specials going on anymore, do we? We've taken those down, okay. And but for what you get on a yearly basis, it's extremely, I would think, reasonable. What I was going to say, you get basically everything that you need to start a business for $75 a year. I'm not sure where any place else you could go for that kind of value. So, and then it's a little bit early, but I want you guys to start thinking about warm weather and our picnic in May. June. Yeah. We're going to have our annual picnic in June right here. And we're going to have all kinds of vendor tables. We will have special music. Last year we had old Blue Eyes himself on CD singing, so we had a great time. But anyway, so we are really glad that you're here tonight. So give Kyle your full attention. This is what he's going to be talking about tonight, is something that all of us as investors buying, whether we buy and hold, buy and flip it, lease it out, doesn't really matter. It's information that you need and will be extremely valuable and helpful to you as you go down through your real estate portfolio, as you buy houses, that sort of thing. We're still working out some technical difficulties. We're almost there. So let me throw this out at you. Deal or no deal? What would you do with this deal? This is strictly off the cuff too. I have people ask me all the time, how do you know what to do with a property? So thinking back on what the exit strategies are: buy and sell, buy and hold, do lease options. What am I missing? Pretty much it. Pardon me? 1031 exchanges, which may be a little bit beyond what some people can do, but that is an exit strategy. So if you don't understand that, Google 1031 exchange and you get all the info you need. Here's the deal. See if I can share. Are we up? Yeah. Okay. You'll have to wait till next time. What you would do with it? Would that be a valuable thing? Can I see some hands? Okay. Yeah, we're talking about mentoring. That's what you're taught when somebody mentors you. So we will, Cindy, let's plug that in, and I will do that. We're going to have an evening where we do deal or no deal, and I will put together a series of deals, and then we're going to look at what you can do with that. Do you buy and hold it? Do you flip it?
In a general meeting?
In a general meeting, yes. So, okay, Kyle, take it away.
We can do this if you prefer.
Is it on? All right, well, good evening, everybody. My name is Kyle Gunyon. I'm a part owner of Titan. Actually, I don't even own Titan Environmental anymore. My wife owns it 100%. Not only do I work with my wife every day, she's my boss. At work and home. Can't win. But, been being married for a while. I'm still pretty young. You guys, some of you guys out there have probably been married for a while, huh? And it's a lot easier to ask forgiveness and permission, right? Ladies are frowning out there. So, my company, Titan Environmental, we do a lot of things. Asbestos, lead, mold, inspections and assessments for residential and commercial properties. We help investors and landlords and property owners, get through their regulatory compliance issues, what they have to do when they're going to do any renovations, hiring the right contractor, all these things. We even started in the last couple of years doing meth lab assessments and cleanups. It's become a major problem. And Missouri has the most meth labs in the entire country. Yeah. Joplin, I guess, is the hotbed, or that county that Joplin's in has the most occurrences. So, bear with me, we're going to have to do this manually. Yeah, do that. Okay. So, we have a really good staff, very knowledgeable, a lot of years of experience. I've been blessed because a lot of my people have been with me for, 8 years. Titan's been in business just a little over 10 years, and I've just been blessed to have a good core group of people that have been with me for a long time, and they're really good at what they do. I have about 5 inspectors, and I have about 6 to 8 guys on my contracting side. Now, we do a little bit of, contracting, not only just inspections and assessments, and we do everything environmental. We don't do any remodeling or anything like that. Okay. So, one of the things that has become an issue in the last couple of years is the new lead-based paint rule, right? The renovation, repair, and painting rule that we have to deal with on pre-78 homes. Have you guys had experience with this, buying and selling and flipping and remodeling houses, right? How many people are certified in the 8-hour lead-safe work practices training course? A couple of people, right? Okay, and probably a lot of you don't really actually get in there and do the work, right? So you're going to hire an outside contractor to do that, and that's where you really have to be careful in hiring the right contractor to get in there and deal with the lead-based paint and knowing what to test. We offer inspections, risk assessments, post-project clearance testing, come and collect dust wipe samples, lead hazard control work plan development, project oversight and testing, and of course we're an EPA accredited training provider to teach the 1-day 8-hour RRP course. That's renovation, repair, and painting. Okay, basically what it does is it teaches the contractor, no matter what their discipline is, what their trade is, how to approach it in a lead-safe way. Basically, and it goes over some regulations and how they have to get certified. They do as individuals have to get certified, and their company has to get certified too. So there's 2 different certifications on that. And on our contracting side, we do lead-based paint abatement, soil remediation, lead-based paint stabilization, interim control. And what that means is we wet scrape the loose and flaking paint and encapsulate or seal the deteriorated areas. So we stabilize it. The lead's still there, right? We're just locking it down. We're pretty much removing all of the lead hazards that exist. We have, of course, RRP stuff, lead-safe demolition, dust and soil decontamination. What we've been doing a lot around town is a contractor will get into a job and he gets it tested for lead and he says, man, I don't want to mess with this, but I can't walk away from this job. It's a nice renovation job for me. So they hire Titan to come in and do what I call the dirty demo. We come in, we set up our containment, we remove everything that they're going to impact. It's lead-based, okay? Clean it all up, and they phase their job out. Basically subbed us to do the lead hazard control phase, and then all the putback, no one has to be trained. It's not a lead job anymore. No one has to be trained. They just get the normal subs in there, and boom, rock and roll. Okay, so we kind of touched on the EPA RRP rule. And if you don't know, as of April 2010, so almost 4 years ago, pushing 4 years now, this went into effect. And it required contractors who disturb lead-based paint homes, child-occupied facilities, schools built before 1978 to be certified, keep records, that's a big one, and follow lead-specific, lead-safe work practices to prevent lead-safe, lead contamination. So we always say, be proactive, be lead-safe, and get certified before impacting lead-based paint services, right? Back here on this table, I have a key piece of documentation that you guys have to have. If you're going to get into a pre-78 home that has lead, you're going to have some work done on it, okay? And that's called the Renovate Right pamphlet, okay? What I've done is I've printed out the front cover, and it's sitting back on the table. If you want to grab one, check that out. There's a link right there at the bottom. You got to get your magnifying glass out a little bit to see it. But go to that link and you can download the whole pamphlet. And notice it'll say revised October of 2011. You have to get the right version, because the EPA changed a sentence on page 11. So you got to have the right version, right? And that's really important because that has to be given to you. If you hire outside contractors and they're going to be impacting lead, they're going to be following lead safe work practices, they got to provide you with this Renovate Right pamphlet so you can sign it and they can keep that form that you signed for their records and you keep the book, right? Or if you're going to be doing work for somebody, same thing, you have to provide this pamphlet to them. Okay, it's a very, very important piece of record keeping. Okay, so I wanted to go over just some key things so you guys will understand the RRP rule just a little better, okay? And again, RRP, renovation, repair, and painting. There's two structures that are regulated under the RRP rule, and the first one is target housing. That's a home or residential unit built on or before December 31st, 1977. So if you have a home that's constructed in 1978, it's not regulated. You don't have to do anything. It's 77 and previous, okay? That's where the line is drawn. But there's a few exceptions to this rule, this pre-1978 rule. Homes designated for the elderly or disabled, okay, unless a child less than 6 years of age lives or expected to live there, or a zero-bedroom dwelling, studio apartments, hospitals, hotels, dorm rooms, etc. So when they mean elderly or disabled, it can't be those persons living in their own private home. Okay? It has to be when you're going to go do work on a fixed income apartment complex that's just for senior citizens on a fixed income, or an assisted living center, or nursing home, that kind of thing, or some kind of disabled home. And the next one is a child-occupied facility. Now this could be a lot of different types of buildings, okay? And basically, it's a pre-78 building where a child under 6 years of age would spend at least 6 hours a week there, or 60 hours a year, okay? And the obvious ones, schools, daycares, childcare facilities, okay? And really, I added a few, which could certainly be churches, community centers, and hospitals, right? So, I don't know how often you'll be working in those types of facilities. Have you guys ever done work in churches? Any work at all? Okay, back here, all right? So, by the EPA rule, an active church has to be a child-occupied facility. I doubt you're going to go up and interview each parishioner and say, hey, how old is your kid and how often does your child spend in church? Probably just safe to assume that it is. And so, it's regulated. Any questions on the differences between child-occupied facilities, target housing? Those are the two regulated structures under the rule. Okay. Okay, how widespread is lead-based paint? Approximately 34 million homes still contain, are still around that contain some lead-based paint. Houses built before 1940 that still exist today, 87%. Between 1940 and 59, 69%. Between 1960 and 69, 24%. And between 1970 and 78, 10%. It's usually limited to the exterior. So, if you're out there wheeling and dealing and buying and selling 1970s homes, and you're worried about lead, might not have that much reason to be concerned, because really, 1970s homes, the lead is typically on the exterior, and it's on the softer fascia, window or door trim, maybe the front door jamb or threshold, and at low levels. I mean, it's still lead, you still have to deal with it if you're going to impact it, but if you're going to do a bunch of interior renovation, typically, you're not going to be impacted. You still have to have it tested, because if you don't have it tested, you have to assume. So it's smart to have 1970s homes tested, because you'll be surprised of how few components you'll find with lead-based paint. Now, one thing to keep in mind, it's your responsibility to determine the age of the home, okay? If the homeowner or the person you're buying the house from, man, I don't have this documentation, or it's getting hard to find. Well, the tax assessor's office, go to their website, they'll usually have that information. Let's see here. Okay, and I just mentioned the renovate, right? I've already mentioned that how important that is in your dealings with Precipitated homes.
So if I'm looking at a 1940s era house, and probably just not knowing anything about it, I probably need to call you and have you come in and tell me whether I've got it, where I got it.
Right. And even on pre-1940s homes, really older homes, you'll be surprised where the lead is and where it's not. Typically you're not going to find it on interior walls other than the kitchens and bathrooms. I guess for the heat and moisture that occurred there over the years, they just painted the plaster and lath with lead paint. They also painted it in the basement stairwell for some reason. It's typically where the third place I find it. But yeah, even then, if you have you buy a house like that, you're going to totally revamp it, renovate it. Yeah, you can definitely save some money by having it tested other than just assuming everything. And since you asked that, I'll let you all of you guys know. Also back on the table, we have a price sheet. Okay, I took the time to list out all of the common inspections that are requested from us, and we do a lot of limited inspections. Okay, for lead and asbestos and mold, and those limited inspections are anywhere from 150 to 225. Lead's 150. We come out with a XRF gun. Has anyone ever seen or heard of an XRF gun before?
Yeah.
Right? Okay. It has a grip and a trigger. It kind of looks like a gun. Top of it's a brick shape with a keypad on top, a digital readout in the back, and it cones down to a square end, and it's flat. And so we'll butt this gun up against any painted surface we want to test. And it has a live radioactive source in the nose of it. So we pull the trigger, the X-rays, or radioactive energy, will go down through every single layer of paint down to the substrate. It could be 10 layers of latex in that one layer of paint, lead paint at the bottom, okay, but it's going to hit it. Now, X-rays can't go through lead, right? So the more, in layman's terms, the more energy that bounces back into the gun, that's how it reads it. And if it reads at 1.0 milligram per square centimeter or more, then it's considered a lead-based surface coating. And it's just not paint, okay? It stains and varnishes and lacquers. And the big one that no one ever thinks about is glazing on ceramic tile. Glazing on the ceramic tile on kitchen backsplashes and the surround in the bathrooms, okay? That is probably one of the most dangerous surface coatings you can impact. Because all the other coatings, the lead's mixed up in a matrix of that coating, But with that old ceramic tile, and it's just wall tile, I've never hardly ever found it in floor tile. Just the wall. And the way they used to do it there, they used to bake that glazing right on the top of it, just right there. It's usually one of the highest readings I get on my gun. And when you demo that stuff, it can create astronomical amounts of lead dust contamination on the floor, countertops, other horizontal surfaces around in your work area. So with that material, when it's hot, positive for lead, it has to be impacted with great care. Before we close out the lead portion, is there any questions on?
I'm just curious, you mentioned federal regulations, but are we regulated also by the states? Do they have any particular laws that?
Yes, the state of Kansas. And thank you for bringing that up. The state of Kansas does have their own RRP rule. And you do have to get certified through the state of Kansas individually and as a company. Okay? The biggest key difference in the state of Kansas, because they have to be just as stringent or more stringent than the EPA. And their big thing is EPA has these lead check kits. They're little swabs you buy from Home Depot or Lowe's or Sherwin-Williams. They're little spot tests. And you crush them up and shake it up. It has a little cotton swab at the end of it. And you squeeze this brown yellowish liquid out that cotton swab. And you're supposed to make a cut in the paint. And you grind that into the paint. And if it turns red, then it's lead. If it stays a brown or yellowish color, then it's not lead-based paint, right? But Kansas does not recognize that. They're illegal to use in Kansas. They can't physically stop you from using them, but you cannot use those and then document to say, oh, I tested their negatives, so now I can do my renovation without any controls in place, right? So, unfortunately, contractors in Kansas either have to call a company like Titan or to test their jobs, or they have to assume. Okay, so jobs in remodeling jobs in Kansas, a little more money to put out up front. Yes, sir.
When you test a house, are there a certain minimum number of points in the house that you find lead before it qualifies? For instance, if you only found lead on one mold, would you then have to go through all this, or do you have to have a certain area?
Right, good question. On our limited inspections, we will shoot up to, give you up to 30 to 40 data points, as you call them. Now, if you hit a positive baseboard, chair railing, crown molding, or whatever piece of trim you're testing, okay, all of the similar or like trim in that room has to be called positive, okay? Now, you can go from room to room to room and just, and that's if you do that, that's a full comprehensive lead-based paint inspection. And that's about $350 to do that, because we take about 250 shots and we go through every single painted surface inside and outside the home, okay? And we'll tell you exactly what has lead and what does not. And, but if you call me out and I'm doing a limited, got the 30 or 40 shot survey going for you, and we keep hitting, hot trim and hot windows and hot door systems from room to room, well, we can just stop, because it's all going to be the same most likely, and it'd be safe for you to assume that as well. But if you really wanted to know, because there could have been some renovation, they could have replaced it with like materials, and
So if you found, for instance, only lead in a particular room, would these requirements then cover the entire house? If you find lead in the dining room, the construction is in the kitchen.
Oh, no. You only want to test what you're going to be impacted. You're going to be impacting, okay? Because, you don't want to worry about, you want to note it. I always encourage noting pre-existing conditions, because if you're going to be working just one room, okay, and you're not even, let's say you're not even working on windows, but you can tell. These windows are a mess, and the jambs are all cracked up, and there's paint and chips and dust in the sills or wells, then, you just want to document it. Take a few photos and say, hey, this was not my work, and it was only, remodeling a walk-in closet, and these windows are horrible. You guys know how to look at lead-based paint and kind of tell that it is lead? It has kind of an alligator skin texture. Sometimes it looks like a chalkboard with all different sizes of squares. Checkerboard with different sizes of squares with really deep edged cracks and lines. See on the old wood glass ceilings, the porches and the columns and the wide soffits. Usually you see this on the exterior, this texturing, in the jambs and windows for sure. Okay. Well, yes, sir. Question back here. Oh, you did? And type of asbestos contained material found. Detailed recommendations. We give you drawings, location drawings, and all this. Usually we're just talking about residential stuff. You don't need all those things, okay? But you'll be surprised what is asbestos in residential properties, and we're going to talk about that here in a second. So, we also provide oversight on abatement projects. We do a lot of government work. We work in the Veterans Administration Hospital, Department of Energy sites. We've had an ongoing project, 5-year project in Paducah, Kentucky, where on this site, this DOE site, they enrich uranium. And they do some weapons grade stuff, but what they do make is power rods and fuel cells for some of the major nuclear power plants around the world. And they're decommissioning the site. So they're tearing down these buildings, and of course they have asbestos in them, but they're also high radiation areas. So me and a bunch of my guys had to become radiation workers and all this stuff. But all we were doing is we're just collecting air samples, and we're analyzing the air samples on site as they're doing this. We're a certified laboratory to analyze asbestos air samples on site during asbestos abatement projects. And that's good because one of the services we offer when we're doing residential abatement work, we bring our other division in at the end to collect air samples, and then we ship those air samples to a third-party lab. So we don't read those because we did the work. We'll collect air samples, but we ship them to one of our third-party laboratories, and that gives the clients peace of mind that we do that for them. Okay. So any questions so far? So you guys have all heard all the horror stories about abatement or about asbestos, right? I mean, you can get asbestosis, mesothelioma, other cancer or asbestos cancer-related diseases. Smoking exacerbates it. They say that abatement workers that smoke have like an 80 times more chance of getting some kind of asbestos-related cancer. There's over 3,000 consumer products that have been documented. Asbestos is not banned, okay? What's banned is surfacing materials and, like fireproofing and insulation, pipe insulation and boiler insulation, all this stuff that's easily deteriorates over time and can become loose and dislodged and ripped and tore, They call it friable, which means you can grab it and rip it apart with hand pressure and create a fiber release, right? So a lot of those types of things are banned completely, but they still use asbestos in roofing products and automotive products. I mean, there's a lot of uses still for asbestos. I mean, Canada, Russia, China, they mine asbestos like no tomorrow still. So, but let's talk about what could be asbestos in residential properties. Probably a lot of you know popcorn ceiling can be the textured ceiling, can have asbestos in it. And I put here, beware the glitter. Okay? Have you seen popcorn ceiling with the little glitters, in there, kind of spread out a little bit? That's typically asbestos. This is typically 3 to 10% asbestos. Even without the glitter, it's still highly big chance that can be asbestos. And the rule of thumb with residential properties is 81 and back. Okay, because still in the early 80s, they're still using this stuff. Okay, felt backing on linoleum. How many people have ripped some old linoleum off a bathroom floor or front entryway or kitchen, and you had that felt? You keep raising your hand back there. You've done it.
You can't help but doing all that if you've ever rehabbed the house.
Right, yeah. So, that gray felt backing is about anywhere from 50 to 70% asbestos, typically. Okay? Sheetrock mud. Here's the big one. Sheetrock mud or joint compound. Okay? And I put there mid-1980s. I routinely find 2 to 3% in sheetrock mud, in houses built in 85, 86. That's kind of where it died out. But, I'd say with that specific material, 85 and back. Gray felt or thick paper wrap on ductwork. Everybody's seen that. In the basement, has 8 to 10 inch diameter ducts in the basement. It's either wrapped at the joints or completely covered. That's another high percentage one, about 60%. Then 12 by 12 vinyl floor tile and mastic units, not just 9 by 9. Typically 12 by 12 does not have asbestos. Some of it can, but mostly when you see 12 by 12, if it has a black glue or mastic, that's what is asbestos. And that's usually 2 to 5%, that black mastic with, and we always see 9 by 9, and that's what everybody associates that's asbestos. And sometimes they overlook the 12 by 12, which can certainly have asbestos as well. Any questions on suspect residential building materials? Yes, sir.
I was at the house once where I ran into zonolite, the blown-in vermiculite type insulation up in the attic between the rafters, and I didn't know until afterwards, and that was bad stuff. Right,
because it has vermiculite in there that can also have tremolite. Sometimes they find it's a more rare asbestos, okay, and it's found in vermiculite, which they use for insulation. You ever heard of Libby, Montana, where they had a huge asbestos mine up there, and that's what they're mining is vermiculite, and there was a bunch of tremolite in it. And, for years and years and years, they said, oh, no, there's not any asbestos in this, And people were dying at 20 with asbestosis because from birth they were exposed because it was in the air. I mean, you can't see it at that microscopic level, So it was a huge problem.
Other than health, what are the ramifications of that? Because in the realtor questionnaires, you're talking about asbestos.
No, they're not.
To speak of. Is that
Right.
What's my question?
He says that, what's the disclosure? There's no, on the realtor questionnaires, there's nothing about asbestos,
The realtor couldn't tell if it was asbestos.
No, you can't. And think of this. In Missouri and Kansas, single-family residential properties aren't regulated for asbestos. But still it's a problem, And most contractors, the typical materials, most of the time popcorn ceiling, all the time with gray felt wrap on the ductwork. They know they want to get it tested. They don't want to put themselves or employees or their clients in any danger or be sued. Just because it's not regulated. I think it's not regulated to the extent that the state of Missouri and Kansas aren't going to try to oversee, thousands and thousands of residential remodeling projects. They just couldn't do it.
Is there a certain percentage of the asbestos you have to have in your lungs or whatever for it to actually cause health problems?
Well, you could be exposed to a very small amount and then 40 years later contract mesothelioma. There's been cases of housewives washing their husband's clothes and that had asbestos dust on them and very, very limited small exposure and 40 years later they contracted mesothelioma. So there's no safe level. That's how the EPA puts it. There's no safe level known for exposure.
So what's the remediation process?
Well, the remediation process just depends on what the material is. Of course, there's containment involved, and all the HVAC, the duct system's completely shut down. All the vents covered, any kind of miscellaneous penetrations are covered. We have negative air machines with HEPA filtration that constantly create a negative pressure environment inside the containment. And so as the removal is going on, it catches any stray material because it's wetted down most times, and it's bagged up and disposed of.
What about asbestos siding? Is asbestos outside that?
Transite. Right, yeah, that's, the thing with that is, as long as you're not taking a Sawzall to it, okay, and you're just using some flat bars and maybe screw gun, you're doing it in a 99.9% manual way, you're really not much hazard to it, and you see, here's where the problem lies, because there's, floor tile. Floor tile is the least hazardous material there is as far as asbestos when you're impacting it. Again, as long as you don't take a grinding wheel to it, you should be okay. But see, what happens is OSHA always kicks in. Okay, OSHA does not recognize any minimum value or concentration of asbestos or lead. So if there's any detectable amount in any material that you test, OSHA actually requires that contractor to perform exposure assessments on their employees to prove they're not being exposed while they're tearing this stuff out, even though per regulations, it's not considered a lead-based surface coating, or it's not considered an asbestos-contained material, right? But it still has some detectable level in there. But that's never enforced. I don't think any contractor goes by that, So, did that answer your question for mention? Okay. So, we tackle mold as well. We have a great team of industrial hygienists, remediation professionals. They can come out and diagnose all the problem areas, all the failing systems. We do assessments as well. It's kind of a lengthy one here. So we do a visual inspection, complete visual inspection, identify all the problem areas. We take digital photos, of course. We determine the possible water and moisture intrusion. We utilize moisture meters and to map out where it's wet, where it's not. We kind of get a dry standard on rooms or areas where there's no apparent problem, and then we match that to what's wet, kind of establish a baseline for comparison. We use thermal hygrometers, which is basically just a device where we measure temperature and relative humidity in real time. We do that throughout the house and take exterior readings too. We do the actual sampling. We take non-viable spore trap, their air samples, or surface samples. And typically in a residential property, we take 3 air samples, 1 surface sample. We take 1 in the problem area, and then 1 in an area of the home that doesn't have any apparent issue or problem. That's our interior control. We take 1 on the exterior as the exterior control. And those samples are to establish, again, a baseline of comparison, okay? Because there's mold in our environment everywhere all the time, okay? So we can't just go off, a level. There's no threshold, really. We have to compare what's going on in non-problem areas, the outside, to where we see all the black holes. We got to see what's going on. And the surface sample helps us kind of bring it all together as well. We give you a written report detailing our findings, recommendations, what you should do. Lots of times, if, let's say you have a basement that flooded, right, and there's mold growing halfway up the walls, right, you don't want to pay me $200, $300, $400 to say, yep, you got mold, right? So, call me out and I'll do a visual and give you an estimate to get the work done, to remediate the problem. Okay, I'll develop a work plan, and that'll be in my proposal. And then we also do post-remediation air samples. Again, we send those off to a third-party lab. Okay. And we don't always, do the full assessment. Like, look, Kyle, all I want is 1 inside sample, 1 outside sample. I don't even want a surface sample. Or, hey, all I want is a surface sample. Okay, I don't even know what's going on here. Whatever you want, we can do that for you. And of course, we do the remediation and decontamination. We all know that the indoor air quality problems and mold growth can be caused by poor ventilation, roof, window system failure, plumbing and mechanical system failure. There's a whole host of reasons why you're having moisture intrusion and visible mold growth. Okay, and so we can identify that problem, create work plans, again, and get the problem taken care of for you, remediate the problem. And, we have a system, okay? We just don't give you some flashy proposal, and then when you're not there, just rip and run, man. We don't do what we propose, we just propose it. So we actually provide you with a written closeout report with before, during, and after photographs, okay, of our work, showing you exactly what we do. We hire third-party professional duct cleaning companies, and we take pictures of them doing their work on site. In the attachments, we put their bill in there. We document everything, okay? And a lot of companies don't do that. And we do that with lead and asbestos as well. We give you a full written completion report. And see, the during pictures are the key, right? I started doing that 3 years ago because I'm thinking, are my guys actually doing what I'm telling them to do? Are they following the work plans that I have set out for them? Oh man, you sure hear the belly aching when I said during pictures are required now, And so now, for me, I can see that they're doing it right as well. Okay. Any questions about the...
How is the actual remediation done? What do you do?
Okay. So, it's much like asbestos, really, the containment, because we come in and we completely seal off the work area. We have the negative air machine that creates a negative air pressure environment in there. same type of HEPA filter, okay? The only difference is we don't use a lot of water during the removal, you know? And so we do everything under controlled conditions. My guys have suits and respirators on to protect them from any contamination. Now the cleaning is different, okay? Because once we get all of the damaged building materials out, okay? And we bag those too. We don't throw anything loose in dumpsters, okay?
My understanding is once the mold is on a 2x4 piece of wood, it can't be remediated, it has to be cut out, is that correct?
No. We will take moisture meters. If there's a question, like on a bottom plate, you know, if there's a question.
Well, if there's no question, if there's obviously...
If it's deteriorated, then we'll recommend that it comes out.
With mold.
Well, wood can be salvaged. It depends on how saturated it is. It can be dried out. You know, it'll always have to be removed. But yeah, if it's just waterlogged and it's, you know, just black, and yeah, then we'll take it. You know, but we don't impact anything structural. If it's some kind of structural load-bearing wall, we do not just willy-nilly start ripping stuff out. We call you, our client, have you come to the site and say, okay, how do you want to attack this? You know, you want to bring in your people, your carpenter, and have them do it, or you know, that kind of thing. But the cleaning is a lot different than in asbestos. Once we get all the mold damaged building materials out, then we get our wire brushes, our scrub brushes out. We use a product called Lemon 4.5. They use it in hospitals. It kills everything up to 3 days. And we scrub the oil and crap out of everything, all the remaining surfaces, all the remaining affected surfaces. You know, we really give it a thorough cleaning. And then after that, and it's up to you if you want this done, we use Kills or Zinsser to come in and seal it, okay? And right when that's starting to dry, it's kind of tacky, we take a pump sprayer and lightly mist what we've encapsulated with that Lemon 4.5. And so then it dries in there. And so it's just kind of something a little extra that we do. And then we leave the negative air machine running, okay, for at least 24 hours. And we don't have it vented outside at that point. We take the tube off, because usually we have the tube venting outside. What this is for is just to scrub the air, to agitate it and scrub it for 24 hours. And then we come in and we collect the post-remediation air samples. Any other questions on mold?
Yes. Is there scientific backing that says mold is toxic, or is it just an allergen? I hear some people say that it's not really toxic. It's just...
Right. This is a good question. One of my associates in the business, Sue, she says, you know how rare it is to find a mold that creates a mycotoxin to actually affect human health adversely. You know, so adversely that they have to be hospitalized. I mean, there's been cases where people have got aspergillus of the lung, but they have lived in such horrible, dilapidated environment for so long with black mold all around them. You know, I mean, it's rare. It happens. But that's a good question. I mean, it's not that if you see black mold, it's just sporulating mycotoxins in the air and you're breathing in. And basically what it does is every person reacts to it differently. So everybody's going to have different reactions, like allergic reactions. Doesn't mean you have allergies, but mold is going to do that, especially in a confined space on the inside of the house. A little more concentrated. It's going to give you itchy eyes, a headache right off, itchy throat, you cough a little bit, and you don't really know why. Like, is that because of the mold, or I didn't feel that way before I came in here, So yeah, it does affect you.
I remember reading the CDC's report on it, and it indicated, this was a couple of years ago, so maybe it changed, that the mold, they've got proof that it exasperates existing respiratory problems, but no proof that it causes a respiratory problem.
Oh, that's definitely true. Because if you're immunocompromised and you have a respiratory condition, of course it can exasperate it. For sure, yeah.
If you're evaluating a house, you can look in the basement, you can see that there's dark spots. Well, that's pretty obvious they've got some mold.
Right.
What do you do when somebody's got a finished basement and you don't know what's behind the walls and there's no apparent, at least you can't find any apparent signs of mold? Not worried about it?
Well, they have things called boroscopes. I don't like them. I mean, you drill through the wall and it's like a scope and you look through it. Usually you're looking at a big glob of insulation because you can't see anything else. I usually just do test patches, where we think it could be, do like a 1 by 1 square, take it out there, so you can really get in there and really look at it,
So you can go in, because you know where it's going to be, and me, I don't know where it's going to be.
Yeah. Well, with our moisture meters, we can kind of moisture map and go, oh yeah, this is the bottom of this wall, like really saturated. Let's make a test patch here and see what's going on. Yeah, we can track it down. Yeah. Any other questions on mold? And one thing I'll say on wood, usually see it on basement ceilings, on the floor joists, in the decking, or in the attics. You see this black discolorization on the wood. It's not that type of mold is really nothing to be concerned about, because as the wood is curing, okay, the saps and sugars are continuously coming to the surface, and it's just a surface mold that's feeding off those saps and sugars, okay? And it's always the same species whenever I've tested it, Ophiostoma ceratocystis with Gannatobotrium. Right. So they're all fighting each other for supremacy on the wood, I guess. But a lot of people want me to. What do you do with that? Can you come in and scrub this off? And it's just really hard to get off too. And really, all you can do is just wire brush it down and put Kills or Zinsser on it, and it's still 3 or 4 days later you start to see the black spots. It's not really, If you run into that, give me a call if you have any questions, but don't be too alarmed or concerned about that type of condition. Okay, meth lab cleanup. What time are we running? What time is it, guys?
8:47.
It's 8:47? Okay. We'll jump to the... Okay, so meth labs are clandestine. They're secret, right? Law enforcement says, man, you get sometimes more contamination in a house by just meth use. Because usually the meth lab's in the garage, right? Or the basement, or the shed, okay? And it's still bad, if it's on, of course, is in the kitchen, it's going to go everywhere anyway. But what we've done is we've done about 15 pre-assessments, about 15 decons too, meth lab decons as well. And then we do post-assessments for other contractors, And we've done this in about a 10-state area in the Midwest, and we're a contractor for a lot of HUD property management firms. And we do a lot of work in different states and stuff on their houses. And so we haven't ever actually removed a lab. Okay, the local law enforcement or hazmat teams do that, and what's left over is what we clean up, the residue. That's identified. An inspector will identify. We come in and clean it all up. And this last bullet point down here. The toxicity can cause skin irritations, respiratory problems, adverse health effects of vital organs, and due to lack of disclosure laws, the real estate transaction process, thousands of properties are contaminated and resold. And that's true. Missouri being the biggest state, or the state with the biggest problem, okay, there's no disclosure rules, okay, there's no regulation saying that, you have to do anything about it, okay. I mean, really, there's no regulation to say you have to do anything about mold either, but everybody freaks out about mold, okay? Probably because you can see it and smell it when it's there. It's there. It has to be, you had a water, leak or water loss, so you have to do something about it, But, you could be buying and selling houses that, of course, in this day and age in Missouri, if we had the biggest problem, meth could have been smoked in there, a good chance. But there's no regulations for you to do anything, to do a pre-assessment, to do any testing, or even if it was on the DEA database, because we checked a Drug Enforcement Agency's database and Kansas's DEA database, even if it was listed on there, there's no requirement for you to do anything. You can buy and sell that house all day. There's no, could the new owner sue you? Probably. Probably could have a good case. Hey, this is listed on the DEA's database, and we bought this house, and no one ever told us about it. It just goes on to say, again, many Americans unknowingly, purchase homes. There was an article or a story ran across online, about a young couple who bought, one of these Freddie Mac, Fannie Mae financed homes, probably a HUD home too at one point, and moved in, and they had a small baby, and so they started having a lot of health problems, and soon they found out that this used to be a meth lab, So it's just, there's probably stories like that across the country. When we do pre-assessments, decons, or post-assessment testing, we use, all applicable standards. We follow all applicable regulations and guidelines. Is basically around here, it's just a lot of guidelines, and we follow them. Okay, we adhere to all of them and everything that we do. Performing a meth lab pre-assessment will come in and test. If we're doing a full one, we test every functional space, which just means every space or room in the home, livable space, right? And we take 2 samples from the walls, 1 from the floor, and 1 from the ceiling, and we put all those in the same tube. So we have a 4-point composite sample, and we mark off 100 square centimeter squares on the walls and the floors. We wipe inside that 100 square centimeters square, and we have a 4-point composite. We do that throughout the home, 4 samples in each room or space. And then we do some single samples, and we do on top of the stove, on top of a fan blade, up in the attic where the exhaust fan from the kitchen and bathroom come out, we wipe all over that thing, and in the return supply, air vents, in the duct system, take some single samples there. We might even take a composite sample to represent the whole duct system. Now, if it comes back at 1.0 micrograms per 100 square centimeters, then that kicks in remediation recommendations, because right now it's just guidelines, right? They say, okay, if it's over 1.0, you need to maybe have it remediated, okay? Cleaned up, decontaminated.
What is the specific chemical that you're looking for?
The specific chemical?
Yeah.
Well, it boils down to methamphetamine. That's actually what they're testing for, is methamphetamine. It's the end product. I mean, there's all kinds of chemicals that go into it, but the lab will specifically test for methamphetamine.
Okay, I thought it was a byproduct.
Right, well, it is, but the main byproduct is the methamphetamine residue. It's the gross amount of chemicals, and you've got sulfur, paint thinner, you got. I need to refresh my memory on the list of stuff. Go back to my website and read it. But so all these hazardous, dangerous chemicals that they put in there, and if the lab tried to break it all down and test for each single data point like that, I mean, it'd be almost impossible wouldn't be cost effective. So they've developed a way where they're just testing for methamphetamine, the end product of what it is.
You just tested the house?
Yes.
Because it said, one of your statements, for every pound of meth that comes out, there's 7 or 8 pounds of leftovers. And what do they do?
We look for burn piles and waste piles on our pre-assessments.
Okay.
Also, we test if there's what do you call it? When you're not on a municipality, what do you call it? Not a sump pump, but
Septic
septic tank, yeah. We test that. We have this thing called a sludge judge that we test that. And we look for any staining in the sinks, like dumping, if we discover methamphetamine contamination and it calls for remediation, we always recommend that all of the drains be flushed to the sanitary sewer. We have to flush them completely out. So there's all kinds of telltale signs that we look for and document. We search all the databases and make sure this house isn't listed on that database. And here's a picture of some meth residue. They don't need much real lab anymore. Now they got the shake and bake method. That mix all their stuff up, and a guy was caught on the back of a motorcycle shaking his concoction up to make the meth. People are crazy over that stuff.
Travel.
What's that?
Mobile one in your vehicle.
Yeah, you have a mobile one for sure, yeah. To close out here, you can find us on Facebook. If you go to our website, you can, there's, my IT person knows about all this stuff. So, hey, I set it up, now they can just click on it. So we have a monthly newsletter, we have a blog there we put out, and there's our contact information there. I think everyone has the presentation there. You have a marketing folder there that kind of outlines everything for you. You guys have any questions about any other services that we provide? Yes, sir.
Well, I had a house that had been a meth lab, and it was known by the city, and they really recommended the pavement, but they sent me a little free little trifold pamphlet.
Yeah.
It said cleaning and fresh painting was about the requirement.
Right, yeah. They want you to, because if you see the estimate for decontamination, and that's going to run, a limited decontamination is about $6,000. I routinely do decontaminations in just normal size residential properties for $15,000 to $20,000. Right. And what we use is a peroxide-based solution. Now, the personal protective equipment, the suits and respirators are far greater than asbestos and lead or mold deal, okay? We're in full face respirators, hooded suits, gloves, boots, and taping them around the ankles and wrists, they're completely, sealed up. And we use a 35% peroxide. And what that does is it extracts all of the contaminants out of the surfaces that you're cleaning. And we do this peroxide wash about 3 times. My guys don't like it. The meth lab cleanings are tedious, they're time consuming. And so after that happens, we just come back with a normal household degreaser after that. We kind of dilute that a little bit because we want to keep from leaving a greasy residue anywhere. We really want to get it all cleaned up. The degreaser cleans all those extracted contaminants up. So,
Be careful if I link your sites to my website, Twitter page, or that kind of stuff.
yeah, if you guys want to, leave your business card on the table, it's right there when you're walking out the door. You'll see it. Again, we have a price list back there. You can check that out and grab any other information that you might want on your way out. So, all right, guys. Well, that's it. If there's any other questions.
Houses I've done, and anytime I go through a house that's got mold, or I know it, or asbestos, or anything that has to be remediated, if it's been a meth house, I'm going, cha-ching. And you guys need to do the same, right? If it's got mold issues, it's like automatic, So, those are money makers, because you can buy those things if you negotiate it right, dirt cheap, and I mean dirt cheap. And that's what you want to do as an investor. Some of you shaking your head, yeah, you know what I'm talking about.
And I will say, if you just want to call me in, just for me to walk through the property with you and point out some suspect materials and, you know, what you could maybe use as leverage on your property, or get them to pay for the inspection, you know, let me do that, you know. So.
Great stuff. Thank you so much. All right, guys, we need to be out of here by about 9:30, so we've still got just a few minutes if you want to hang around and exchange some cards. If you want to talk to Kyle or Tegan back there, and if you need to see any of the board members. By the way, I would like to remind the board members that we're meeting Saturday at 9 o'clock at the old office to do some more house cleaning, and just throwing that back out there. So